All right. sgsgolfadvice@gmail.com. Do you want to go? Do you want me to go? How do you want to do it?
I'll do
do it?
one.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, I'm pulling this up. Again, we're going to post these on YouTube. So,
all right, maybe.
this will be up there, and I got my Just a Guy hat on just for the for the
Spieth
YouTube
Legion.
audience. Yeah.
All right, there we go.
All right. This is emailer D. Age 30, 2 kids, no interest in fighting. I recently went on the most underrated buddy trip in the Midwest. I know where that is. It's probably in Michigan, Western Michigan.
Yeah.
With 3 buddies who all played golf in college. I did not, but I was a fine high school player many moons ago. And you're talking 12 years ago. He was a good high school player. Due to 2 kids, I only play a couple times a year. Not close enough to have a handicap. We played a few Scotch games, Vegas, best ball, etc., all straight up. As the weakest and rustiest player, I wasn't on the winning side often, small money bets only, but should I have asked for strokes? If so, how when the objective data isn't there? Like, how do I, if there's no objective data? Many thanks, D. Should he ask for strokes?
I mean, that's up to you. That's between you and your God, and how comfortable you feel. Like, yeah, ask for one aside. Sounds like they're all good players, right? College players, but he played, a cup of coffee. Can I just say, I played golf in high school. Leaves a lot of room for interpretation, right? Like, I know guys who play golf in high school who cannot break like 95, right? And they played for some D6 kind of team that had 10 boys in the school, and if you could kind of walk and chew gum, you play. So there, that right there kind of leaves you wide open for interpretation. But I think, look, the stroke, I get that some objective data, but it's all subjective. All of it, as we talked about with the handicap committees last week. We're getting popped for our handicap committee pushback, but it's all kind of subjective gray area. Ask for a shot aside, or a couple strokes around if you're comfortable. Whether they grant you it or not is a separate question. You can ask.
I think this is a tough situation. No, you got this great group, right? Everybody can play, and you don't want to be the guy that asks for shots. That's the number. It's the number one thing. Is and that's what makes this question compelling to me. Is listen, I think you need to go into it. You can't. Your problem right now, one of your big problems, is you think you need strokes. You need to go in there with an irrational attitude and think you're the best player, and maybe then you're going to play a little bit better. You're going to have a little bit more swagger, and you're not showing up every day with your tail between your legs. I think that's the problem here, is that you need a little bit of an attitude adjustment. I know these guys played college golf. I know they might not have kids like you. I know you don't get to play a lot, but use this to your advantage. Golf means so much less to you than them. This trip means these guys also are dealing with the pressure. They can't lose to you. They're going to feel embarrassed if they lose to you, because it's God, I can't even beat D, who's got 2 kids and plays 3 times a year. So go into it with this type of attitude adjustment. As you said, it's small money. I don't think this means much to you. Just kind of build it into your, maybe build it into your offset of the trip, saying okay, I'm probably I might lose $50. I'm expecting to come out of this maybe a little bit down, but then anything that happens is a good thing. This is about expectation management and attitude. Adjust your attitude. Don't be the guy that asks for shots, especially if it's if you're still I always think the barometer is 5 shots, right? If there's 3 scratch players, you used to be a scratch player, you still have it in you. You still have it in you for stretches of holes, for rounds on end. Do not relent. Don't give up the shots, because you're only going to play worse when you get the shots.
I like that. I think it's hard to ask. I'm saying you don't need to feel ashamed, but yeah, I think for this kind of trip and these kinds of stakes, you just play, and if you get something, it's like kind of like you upset the 2 or 3 seed or something.
Rub it in their face a little if you get something. Be like, this is like the 3rd round of golf I played all year. I can't believe how well I played. Can you guys believe it?
And monitor. I mean, if it truly becomes non-competitive, and it doesn't seem like it's that bad, like you would think like there would be recognition of it and figure out a way to make it more fun and competitive. But it doesn't sound like it's in that territory. All right. Next email. This is from Derek. This just cracked me up because there was some Zapruder filming attached to it, which maybe we can put on the YouTube video. I don't know. How do we feel about people who tee up in front of the tee markers? Let's say someone made a hole-in-one on 7 at Pebble Beach in a money match. I use this example because Dwayne Wade just made a celebrated, it was all over social media, catnip, hole-in-one at Pebble Beach. But he clearly teed it up ahead of the tee markers, and he attaches this picture with his makeshift horizontal line. He's like Zaprudering it. He's like, drawing angles and triangulating the whole thing. He's clearly in front of the tee markers. He's shitting all over Dwayne Wade's parade, raining all over it. I think we know in a casual match or friendly game, especially at Pebble, you'd never call this out. Let someone enjoy the shot. Should we submit that Dwayne Wade's ace shouldn't have counted? Let's kind of repost this.
Yeah, we should put it out there.
Let someone enjoy the shot, but let's say you're playing a serious money match with someone and they teed up ahead of the tee marker and make an ace. You can't bring it up, can you? What if your opponent has been a total jerk for 6 holes? Any scenario where you don't look petty calling this out? And I would say the short answer is no. I think you just you let it go.
I think
come on.
In general, unless they're like a habitual tee up and forward, you just can't. Even if you're playing the club championship and somebody is 4 inches in front of the tee marker, you cannot be the guy that's like, hey, I'm going to ask you to re-tee because you're in front of the tee marker. Like, you can't be this petty. And I know the rules are the rules. I'm going to get all the rule Gestapos coming after me. But you cannot be this petty and expect to have, like, friends.
Right.
So if you're interested, I guess here's the thing. We have, are you interested in fighting? Are you interested in having friends? If you're interested in having friends, you do not say anything. Now, if somebody is regularly doing this, I think it's fair game. I think it's like, you come at it with a joking of like, well, like, at least I know how to tee off behind the marker, I've seen you tee off behind the marker, and you do it when they don't have a hole one. But you can start to poke them about their habitual issues teeing off behind the marker.
I feel like this is a really not a recurring issue very much. Of all the emails
there are people that can't seem to get behind the marker.
They itch it. Yeah, they inch it.
There are those people. I've seen them.
Grand scheme of things, it's just not that big a problem. All right, yeah, don't call them out. I do like calling out Dwayne Wade and trying to rain on the catnip parade of his ace. So good. All right, you got another one? You want me to go?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm 28, no kids, might be willing to fight the person in question of this email. Me and 6 friends are going on the golf trip this weekend. 6 rounds in 4 days. Hopefully we're getting this out before this. It seems like this was an emergency sandbagging ruling. So hopefully they'll be able to listen to this on their golf trip. We have handicaps varying from 3 to 18, and we're doing a Ryder Cup style team event for this trip. It sounds just like your Myrtle trip.
Sure.
We have all been playing consistently, posting scores, tracking the strokes distribution for months leading into this trip. The sandbagging question comes from someone who has improved a lot this year, with his handicap consistently decreasing throughout the year, currently sitting at a 13. Every time this person has a great round, he loves to brag in the group chat about what his new low index is. This doesn't sound like this guy's sandbagging. Like, it seems like he's really proud of his achievements, right?
He's putting it out there for consumption too. He's not hiding anything. Yeah.
Taking great pride. However, this person played 3 rounds this weekend, a week prior to the trip. Now, would there be a handicap? What's the date? So there should be probably like a handicap adjustment on I think they do it twice a month. So on Friday, what is that? The 15th? No.
I think it's more rapid now. Again, we are not the experts on this. We got so much blowback about the same day posting and stuff because it factors weather in. I was like, all right, whatever. Go ahead.
I always, whenever I post scores, I always get notices. Could you please post this?
Yes.
More quickly.
I guess my question is,
a month later, I'm like, oh yeah, I could put that score in.
I backdate it. What, does the weather no longer exist on the backdate?
Well, I think they do the computation for everybody
as they're rolling in. Yeah, as they're rolling in. Yeah, I know.
All right, so he played 3 rounds this weekend, a week prior to the trip. After the fact, it was found this person didn't post those 3 scores. Yes, right before the trip.
Ooh, sneaky.
He claims after the fact, and after getting called out for not posting, is that he's predetermined that he wouldn't post the scores due to a number of factors, including he was sick. The greens were punched. He was walking 2 rounds in 3 days. Usually he doesn't walk. Now, I'm going to just put out there, these 3 factors seem like he shot high scores that he didn't want to inflate his handicap up.
Yeah.
Like, these are not excuses of a sandbagger.
Yep.
These are excuses of a vanity handicap.
Right, which we did get a lot of feedback on that, too. That is more prevalent, I feel like, these days, or as prevalent as sandbaggers.
So if you're captain of one of these Ryder Cup teams, maybe you should be factoring this into your selections. The issue is that one of these scores was an 83, which would certainly decrease his index from 13 and would result in losing stroke equity versus the group during competition, which is something that is top of mind for him months prior to this trip as his handicap continues to lower. The lack of posting came to light because of the normal morning after handicap gloating was now nowhere to be heard. This person loves to debate, so he's currently trying to make it all technicality, an arbitrary, subjective handicap
people who
system,
love to debate.
like any middling public defender might attempt, stating that as a group never established guidelines for us posting things like executive courses and 9-hole scores. His overall thesis is that we as a group never established.
Just wanting to debate, ticky-tack, this, that, and the other.
Never established anything definitive regarding posting scores despite common sense, decency. While he has merit from a legal perspective, it's clear to me and other members of the group that he's not acting in good faith. I'd struggle to even call it sandbagging since it's so obvious, so in your face, but that's why I'm seeking your advice. I would like to know your thoughts on the situation and how we should proceed. If we can't get a third-party ruling, I might change my status to willing to fight before the first tee. Thanks.
Okay.
I think there's a very clear solution to any group handicapping thing in a Ryder Cup style match play event. And I think this is the way that the golf world should work with handicapping match play. Match play, like why good players are good players is that they don't make big numbers. Why mediocre golfers are mediocre is they get in a lot of car crashes throughout the round of golf. They make a double here, a triple here, a quad here. And good players, it's like a lot of good players will just not make double bogeys. And, they know that, hey, a bogey's not going to hurt me because I'm going to make a couple birdies in the grand scheme of things. So, like, that's the difference between great players and bad players. Match play, the handicap gap, it decreases. So, like, 15 handicaps and threes, like, it's not as big of a gap because, like, you're only losing 1 hole. So, if you're super worried about the handicap system and everything, just, like, go big percentage dock on handicap. We're playing at 70%. It's got to be 80% or greater with this because this should be how the handicap system works for match play, is that I think it should be played between 60 and 80% of handicap with match play because that's the difference between good players and average players. So with this, like all of a sudden, if you're playing at 70% handicap, guess what? The last revision doesn't really matter. This 83 doesn't matter because he's getting docked down. So just play it at a big percentage, and like all of these issues, all of this mitigation doesn't really matter. It's inconsequential because you're docking them down a percent. That's my advice.
Yep. I'm letting you go with that one. Letting you run. That was a long email. That was a good response. But I do like you're presenting sort of defense evidence about excuses not being really that of a handicapper, or excuses that would seem to portend high scores, not low scores that you want to hide.
All actions are like the gloating, everything.
The bragging.
I've been entering scores, and my handicap's going the direction I don't want it to go, which is getting better. I'm not gloating to people. I'm like terrified of the next time I have to play in a match with it. I'm like, I don't think I can play to this, but the handicap keeps telling me that's the way it's going. So yeah, this isn't a good thing. It's not a good thing when your handicap goes down, unless you want your handicap to go down, which it seems like this guy wants his handicap to go down.
He seems into that. All right, I think that does it. My Wi-Fi is being brutal. I had one more I wanted to get to, but I'm losing picture. You're choppy. Let's just call it. We're at an hour. Is that okay with you?
We'll
post this to YouTube. Everyone enjoy your weekends. We'll be back with you on Monday. Check out the Friday Golf Pro Shop. We will be back on Monday to debrief on what? Live Golf, Shriners, a whole bunch of golf. We'll talk to you then.